Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and by the end of the video today, I'm going to show you a piece of video. Many of you probably saw it, but a lot of you that are here now never saw it. It's from 2018, and it's a guy that was on the Glenn Beck show. I want to show you this against the backdrop. I don't think many of you realize how monumental it was that it was announced that JP Morgan was going to be doing business with Coinbase and who else were they going to be doing business with? It's this tweet, Coinbase and Gemini. I don't think that this little announcement can be, many of you may not understand just how significant this is. For over 2 years, they tried to scare us out of crypto. They tried to convince you that it wasn't going to happen. And from day one, I said, no, these people smell the money now. They are all, not some of them are coming, all of them are coming. And with Ripple and with XRP, we're talking, not only are all of them coming, but with regard to XRP, we're talking about all of the money. So I'm going to show you a piece of video where this guy laid out everything that these people, the companies like JP Morgan had been doing and were doing while they were talking bad about Bitcoin and crypto and all of that. They were trying to scare everybody away. This guy called it. I want to show you what he said. But first, this is the crypto market right now. The market has been getting a little bit of traction. Bitcoin's up 3.79%, XRP 3.5% or so. Stellar is really surging 11.49%. This market could take off at any second, folks, and really take off, because if any market is due, and remember, no bear market or bull market lasts forever. And I don't believe it's even possible for this market to have been in a bear market as long as it has been without some major manipulation. And that includes putting out misinformation, the way the Wall Street, these big firms have done, the head fakes that we've gone through for the last 2 years. I just thought today would be a good time for me to take you down memory lane and show you a video of a guy that called it all. Okay. First I wanted you to see this video. This is what they were saying this is from CNBC today. Listen to this.
We had Paul Tudor Jones on yesterday, and he was talking about, QE infinity, however you want to look at it, and that maybe the time will come when you need to have some type of asset that there's a fixed amount of, and he was referring to Bitcoin. So I think maybe even Paul Tudor
and XRP that actually has utility.
I have to disclose that I own. I mean, compared to you, I own like 3 cents out of $1 or something. You know what I mean? So, but I have to disclose that I own it. But Paul Tudor Jones made the case yesterday, and yesterday was the halvening. The halvening was yesterday. So the stock to flow has now gone up.
So, Joe, this is again now you're seeing a lot of lines of different thinking converge. So when we started to believe in the long-term value of Bitcoin, it was as a store of value, and it was that schmuck insurance that you kept under the mattress. And there was a small cohort of us that have believed this for like almost the last 10 years now. But when you have people like Paul Tudor Jones, sophisticated market participants, who don't necessarily come to it from that perspective because he was probably first in gold or curve steepeners or whatever, now all of a sudden even he is looking at Bitcoin. And the reason is because we are in this massive deflationary spiral, and you have to figure out how to protect yourself. And so however you think about it, from a classic economic theory or the schmuck insurance where you're somewhat skeptical of the established governing masses, it is important that we have a hedge, a non-correlated hedge. And I still struggle to find anything that is as uncorrelated to anything else and to everything else than Bitcoin. And I think that, if we see it have its day, it's a moment where you're going to wish that you had just bought the 1% and just kept it.
I believe a day of reckoning is coming, and it's not Bitcoin, it's XRP. Remember, Bitcoin is not the only one with a fixed supply. XRP is, and XLM are. And both of those have more utility where they can actually be used than Bitcoin ever thought about having. Now, this was from Ticket Attorney. Sent me this. This is a tweet from Ripple. They were tweeting out a spring tweet. Our data team crunched the numbers, and evidence shows that users are shifting to XRP for exchange balance transfers to avoid network congestion on Ethereum and Bitcoin. New on the XRP development blog, and I don't need to click on that. First, Brianna Madigan had also tweeted this out and said, Ripple's vision of Internet of Value continues to create value for users. Check out the evidence by our data scientists. So those of us that have been around for a while, we know this full well. Anytime we get in like a bull run of the market there starts to be a lot of buying and selling on the exchanges. Both Ethereum and Bitcoin slow down and they get more expensive. You don't ever have that problem with XRP. XRP is the greatest digital asset ever created. They all know it. The reason these Bitcoin guys are always bashing XRP is because it is their greatest fear. You don't bash the guy who's doing nothing. You bash the guy who's winning. So they know that XRP is a winner, and their greatest fear is if and when, and it is a win, XRP jumps Bitcoin. And don't be surprised if XLM jumps Bitcoin along with it. Okay, but if you go through here, XRP exchange inflows, outflows rise as Ethereum transaction fees increase. And then they've got this, XRP Ethereum trading volume increases during network congestion. So in other words, people are getting out of Ethereum to get into XRP to move their money. And let me ask you a simple question. If all of these have a finite amount, let's say, let's say it use Bitcoin. Bitcoin's only got 21 million. XRP's only got 100 billion. Okay. If they have a finite amount, all right, you can get more XRP than you can get Bitcoin because it's cheaper, right? But if they have a finite amount, both of them, one of them moves faster, can scale, and is cheaper in all scenarios. Why would you hold Bitcoin as a store of value instead of XRP? It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. All right. So XRP is cheap to move despite market conditions, and that's pretty much the gist of that. Now, this was an interesting Steve Mnuchin tweet. U.S. Treasury is working with the Federal Reserve to provide liquidity and support smooth market functioning. See my statement on the start of SMCCF purchasing here. I'm not going into that. Just wanted to show you the tweet. This Fiat Leak is getting very smart with their tweets. Attention Gemini, each member of the XRP community who likes or retweets this post supports you adding XRP to Gemini. XRP is legit. Gemini is legit. Business is business. If the interest is there, find a way to give the customer what they want or explain why you won't. See, I've made this point so many times. I've even done polls on Twitter where I showed Gemini how many customers that they could get just by adding XRP. These guys I can promise you, these guys are not running that business the way that they learned to run a business at Harvard where they went. Because if they were running it the way they were taught at Harvard, XRP would have been added a long time ago. They're running their business with a philosophy in mind, not what's the best for their business. That's just the way it is, because XRP is the greatest digital asset ever created, and they know it. And again, they fear it probably more than anyone. That's why they won't add it. Sean Michael sent me this. This is a Miguel Valles tweet. We have not heard from him since he left Ripple. He tweeted this out. Thank you to everyone who reached out with kind words. For what it's worth, Ripple is in great hands, and it just felt like the right time to move on. Leaves me a little more time to spend with this guy. Hopefully, I'm a better teacher than a barber. P.S. Be kind to each other out there. That's good advice from a class act, Miguel Valles. We wish him all the best. I did like how he put the water here, and that could symbolize liquidity. I thought that was funny. Okay. And Michael at VAL5 Links tweeted this out. MGI, global leader in cross-border P2P payments and money transfers, today reported 81% year-over-year transaction growth for its digital business in April. Wonder if MoneyGram's, any of their competitors are looking at that, knowing why this happened. And that would be Ripple. All right. And so back to JP Morgan, and here we are. So JP Morgan, just to go back, Jamie Dimon bashed Bitcoin and crypto for the good part of 2 years. Meanwhile, JP Morgan was creating the JP Morgan coin while he was doing it. And it wasn't just JP Morgan. It was all of these firms. There were so many head fakes. There were even guys that were sending ex-CFTC chairmen out to podiums out of nowhere to say that XRP is they believe XRP and Ethereum are securities. You name it. All of 2018 and a lot of 2019, we were treated with all of these head fakes and these scare tactics to try to keep us out of crypto. And I said all along, said from day one on this channel, no, these guys have now smelled the money. And what they were doing in 2018 is they were putting their money in this stuff over the counter while trying to scare all of us out of it so that they could buy it on the cheap. So here we are. I believe we're on the precipice. So it's a good lesson for you to go back and look. The guy in this video, his name is Tika Tori. He runs the I think it's called the Palm Beach Report. It's like an investment newsletter, but he has a background on Wall Street. I think it was Goldman Sachs, as a matter of fact. But listen to what he lays out. He laid this out July 27th, 2018.
What that means. That sounds legalistic, doesn't it? So we'll get into that here in a second.
Fernando will explain
right,
all of
okay.
that.
So here's what I want to go to now.
Okay.
The question that I had for you the other day was, why are you calling this the Great Crypto Conspiracy?
Okay.
And when you explained it to me,
Yeah.
it's really, people should go to jail, but it's not illegal.
No.
And this is really horrible. And it's why we all feel so freaked out. But they are feasting on our savings. And it's an enormous robbery, quite honestly, I think.
It's a huge transfer of wealth that's happening right now. The last time I saw something like this was back during 1994 to 1995. In the early to mid-90s, individuals were making just enormous amounts of money buying companies like Dell, AOL, Microsoft, Netscape, and some of these smaller internet stocks. And the institutions had completely missed that bull market. And so they were scoffing at these so-called lemmings. And so during 1994 to 1995, we had a bit of a bear market. And so, again, institutions were out saying that, oh, anybody buying internet stocks, you're idiotic. And so you had a lot of people selling their AOL, selling their Microsoft, selling their Dell shares. Guess who was buying? It was the institutions. If you look at a chart of institutional allocation to venture capital internet deals, it doubled between 1994 to 1995, which was exactly when institutions were saying, oh, this is just a market for idiots. Mm-hmm. Nobody should be buying this stuff. Mm-hmm. So they literally stole all this wealth that should have been in the hands of individuals that owned Dell, Microsoft, and AOL. And then from 1995 to 2000, of course, we saw $5 trillion come into the market, and the biggest bull market we've ever seen. So this blueprint of creating fear in order to get cheap prices is nothing new. So
and hang on just a second, before you go on.
Yeah.
This one is really important to me because the housing crisis, those banks, they bought up all of those houses. They were the ones who caused the problem.
Right.
Then they were talking everything down and saying, I'm just taking the junk off the table. Yeah. That's not junk now.
It's not junk. When it's dropped 40 to 60%, it's not junk. So this happened between 2011, 2012. Blackstone Group buys 50,000 homes. But during this period of time, the regular individual couldn't get a mortgage. Right? It was virtually impossible to get a mortgage during this time, exactly when institutions were buying. And then the dot-com crash in 2003. If you can go back and look at old CNBC clips during 2003, even as the market was starting to come up, oh, don't buy tech stocks. No, they're evil. Don't buy tech stocks. Don't buy tech stocks. but institutions, if you looked at the 10Ks, the Qs, and all of the filings, the quarterly filings, they were all loading up on tech.
This is how the rich get richer.
Yes.
They know, they're connected. A lot of times they're coordinating without the insider trading. This is not illegal to do.
No, manipulating the news cycle, if you're smart about it, is they can get away with it. Nobody's ever been arrested for anything like this.
So now, with crypto, I know personally, I know people that would have gotten in or stayed in if these people weren't saying what they're saying.
Right, and so this has really been extremely egregious. So on September 12th, Jamie Dimon says Bitcoin is a fraud. He says he'll fire any one of his traders buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin drops 24%. When Jamie Dimon speaks,
people listen.
People listen. So that weekend, we found out that the largest buyer of a Bitcoin fund that's in Europe that buys physical Bitcoin, right? The largest buyer was Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. And that's not illegal.
He says it's a fraud.
It says he'll fire anyone that buys it. Yes.
And at the same time, his company is buying it.
His company is buying it.
It's just, I mean, so unethical.
Right.
Okay, George Soros.
George Soros, in January 24th, price was already down, calls Bitcoin a bubble, says Bitcoin is the worst, the worst investment in the world. Don't buy Bitcoin. Don't buy Bitcoin. Basically throws gasoline on the fire at this point. And then what do we find out? So he says bubble here.
It drops 44%.
Right. And then here in April, 2 months later, guess what we find out?
Yeah.
His $26 billion family office has approval to buy cryptocurrency.
Right. And we only knew about it publicly here. And this is the kind of thing that George Soros is famous for this, talking the sterling down.
Yeah.
And what did he do? He stole the pensions of all the little people.
Yeah, made $1 billion.
Yeah. Okay.
So then here now, Goldman Sachs, this, again, February 7th, most cryptocurrencies will crash to zero. Now, I remember when they said this in February, and I had, through my network, I knew that Goldman Sachs was setting up a crypto trading desk. Absolutely knew they were setting up a crypto trading desk. And
I remember you telling me that.
Right. And then, of course, they were denying it. No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. Price falls down 27%, and then what do we find out? We find out here, they say BTC 0, and then we find out just before May, new trading desk. Not only that, they put $400 million to buy a cryptocurrency trading platform. Okay, so February 7th, it's all going to zero. May, we just spent $400 million just on a flyer.
And they're not the only ones.
No. So you have a lot of institutions that are coming. You had Christine Lagarde from the IMF come out. And this was, what's funny about this, Glenn, is it was all around the same time. It was almost like I can't prove collusion, but, it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck.
And you know what?
It's probably a duck.
The people, they all hang out together, they all think alike. It doesn't have to be calling each other.
Yeah.
They know this game.
Yes. So IMF, Christine Lagarde says in the first part of the year, says all central banks should band together against cryptocurrency.
Right.
Have you ever heard her say all banks should band together against illegal arms?
No.
Or illegal drugs?
No.
Or human trafficking?
No.
But this nascent asset class, we must all join arms against.
What this did was play into people's heads that these guys are never going to let Bitcoin survive.
Right.
And so people thought, this is over.
Selling. Yeah.
So let me show you, can we show a chart of the 5 crashes? This is from, I think...
Last year, right?
Last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have that chart of the 5 crashes of Bitcoin?
Right. It was 30%. Right. I think 4 of them were 30% and 1 was 40%.
And
folks, we were very early, but we are not wrong. And I encourage you to go and watch the rest of this video. We are not wrong. And those of us that are holding XRP are dead on right and always have been. This is not our imagination. This is the game that has been played for the last few years. and I'm glad to have been here while they were playing it because I kept accumulating, and I hope you did too. Just a reminder, for those of you that don't remember, this is the Ledger people are having a 50% off sale. You can go in the description of all my videos, and there's a link you can click on. It will give you 50% off these Ledger Nano S's. They've never done a sale like this. It's from yesterday until the 17th. So go and get one. If you haven't gotten one yet, this is how you can store your digital assets safely and be in possession of your private keys. This way you don't have to be online where hackers can hack these exchanges. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that we may have been early, but we were not wrong. We're 1,000% right. Thanks for listening.